And hello everyone, my name is Lucy and welcome to Books and Brushes. So today I'm going to do a list of anticipated books that are coming out very soon in like the second half of the year. Back in December I did an anticipated book releases for the new year video. That was back in December and there are more books I know about now that are coming out. So I guess this is like the second half of the year anticipated releases. Wow, almost the first half of 2020 gone. Well, that was a bit of a clusterfuck, but we're carrying on. Wow, it's been almost half a year of this crap. Wow. Anywho, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some fun releases that I've heard about. I always like hearing about fun new releases, and I don't care if my TBR is a million years long. Honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. It's just an endless world of possibilities instead of a stress. Now, this is by far no way all of the books that I know of that are coming out. There's probably loads more that I just don't know about yet. You know, strangers are friends you've never met thing. For me, I don't like people, so it's more books. Unreleased books are a friend I just haven't made yet. There you go, remade that saying. I'm in the weirdest mood today. So I'm going to go in order of their release date, so it's nice and clear for you which ones are coming out first and which ones are coming out towards the end of the year, of some releases I've found out about. So let's just talk about the books. The first book that's coming out is The Gilded Ones by Namia Fauna, and can I just say the cover is beautiful. This cover is just... Ooh. What caught my eye about this one is it was, do you like Children of Blood and Bone-esque? And I do like that series. And then I read the description of this book and I was sold. This one takes place in a small village with a girl, and it seems like when these girls come of age they have to have this blood ceremony, and depending on what colour your blood runs depends on who you are or something along these lines. And when they cut her she bleeds gold, which is like the impure colour. So she gets this choice before this is discovered. Do you want to like run away from your village, completely go in the wilderness and discover the unknown and be chased and all that malark, or you're just going to stay there and know that you're going to be treated like crap and things are going to go very wrong once they discover you are gold-blooded. And then it seems like there's this army of other girls who are just like her with gold blood and strange abilities and magic. They form this kind of army and battle this supernatural big bad. I don't know what, but you know, they fight something. And so she runs away to this army and she's discovering all the secrets about the world she lives in that she never knew, and trying to learn how to fit in this new world as this new person, and like discovering who she is and all of those things. And I've described this book really badly, like my paraphrasing of that synopsis did not do it any justice. But read this synopsis of this book because it sounds really good, and just like that description says, I'm getting very Children of Blood and Bones vibes but with a different plot. I'd never heard of it before. I was looking on my phone for books for this video and I found this one, so I never would have found out about it if I hadn't have looked for something, and this one just leapt out at me. I'm excited for that. The Gilded Ones comes out on the 26th of May. Book 2 on this list is not a surprise to me. It's one I am now waiting for ever since I read the first book at the beginning of May, so super recently. I read Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. Spoiler alert, I loved it. So not really a spoiler alert, I lied. But I had such fun with this book. It went in places I totally didn't expect it to go. It was a beautiful, lyrical, it was like down to earth, also super magical. There was so much going on, so many great characters to love and even more great characters to hate. It was so action-packed and full of heart, and our main character is just a little bean and I love her. This book was just so engrossing and it had me invested. It was just a magical whirlwind of a time. I need the next one. I got to the end of this book realising my fatal flaw that there was another book, but luckily it comes out really soon in July, so I haven't got long to wait. Still, as soon as that drops, it's probably one of the major ones on this list that I will buy immediately after it comes out. I don't want to wait too long after I've read Spin the Dawn to read the next one, so gonna need to snap that one up real quick and hopefully haven't forgot everything that just happened in Spin the Dawn. But Unravel the Dusk comes out on the 7th of July and I cannot wait for it. So excited. I'm pretty sure it's a duology, so it's the last book in the series and I won't have to wait. Thank God. I need that one and I need it fast. The next one I've only heard about really recently, and the synopsis or the description definitely took me, and that is Cinderella Is Dead by Caitlin Bayron. So we've all heard of the Cinderella story. We've all been beaten to death with a stick over the Cinderella story, another Cinderella story, another Cinderella story, but this one is not the Cinderella story you're probably expecting. No, this isn't a Cinderella story in a contemporary setting with another just contemporary girl who marries someone or fancies like a boy who's popular in high school. No, 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 no. This one just sounds so interesting, and let me tell you why. This one's set in a world where Cinderella really happened, and then 200 years later, annually they have a ball, and it is required for all these like teenage girls to go to the ball, and there are suitors who may or may not choose to marry them, and the ones that don't get picked are never seen or heard from again. That sounds ominous, that sounds dark and spooky and creepy and full of nasty, horrific things, and I love it. I don't know what happens to these girls, but I want to know. So we have this protagonist who is basically in love with her best friend, so she doesn't want to go to this ball and she don't want to get involved in that. So she decides to run away, and yeah, I would do that too, girl. That sounds like a smart decision. And it seems from there she meets the last living descendant of Cinderella herself and her sisters, and it's like this group of girls trying to rise up together and bring down this horrible tradition that has become of what happened to Cinderella, and take it down and really understand what actually happened to Cinderella back in the day. And all that sounds so good to me, and it's a proper new take on this story that I've just heard far too many times. But this one sounds different, and this one sounds full of dystopian-y fantasy vibes and dark fairy tale, and I'm into this and I'm really excited. Again, I didn't know this was happening until I heard about it super recently. As soon as I heard that description, never heard anything like that, that really interests me, so I'm really looking forward to this one. Cinderella Is Dead, it comes out on the 6th of August, so not too long a wait. So this next one is a little bit of a strange one, and that's because it's a sequel to a book I've not read. Yeah, I know, I'm weird. There is a book that I'm really interested in that I really want to get to, and then the sequel to that is coming out, so I really want to get to the first book, and then therefore I'm interested in the second book. Of course, there is the chance I will read the first book and not like it, and therefore this recommendation or anticipation for the second book would be completely unwarranted, but I am excited for this book and therefore this sequel. Did any of that make sense other than in my head? And the book that I really want to get to is Darius the Great Is Not Okay, and the sequel, which is coming out, is Darius the Great Deserves Better. So I'm gonna have to talk about Darius the Great Is Not Okay because I don't want to read the synopsis of the second one and spoil myself for anything, so I am going to talk about the first book even though it's already out, sorry. So I found out about this book from like the first time from Kaz at Cats and Camera, so thanks Kaz for reading that and kind of getting me interested in this book. She read it for May in the mental health-a-thon and all that, and I'm really intrigued with this book. So there's a lot to unpack with this synopsis, but I'm gonna try my best to paraphrase it and not totally butcher it. So the book is about this nerdy guy who lives in America, but originally his family is from Iran, and he doesn't really feel socially accepted anywhere. He's super nerdy, he's suffering from clinical depression, which that's always a great time, I know from experience. He's just really having a hard time not fitting in anywhere with mental health problems and family issues. And then he goes on a trip back to Iran with his family, and he meets this boy who basically they become these great friends, and he discovers a lot about himself and who he wants to be. He has a best friend which he's never had before, and he just learns to have a lot of fun and discover an identity he didn't know was missing, or he didn't know quite how to discover. It seems like there's a lot of introduction to Iranian culture and like discovering his roots, and he's enjoying and loving all of these cultural things he's discovering. And the book is about him worrying when he goes back to America, how will he retain and hold on to these parts of himself that he's growing to love in another culture and bring it back with him to America. All of that sounds great. I like the mental health rep and the depression side because I like reading characters that I can relate to. I also love the idea of this cultural shift and learning your own culture and learning where you come from and the culture of your ancestors, taking on all these aspects that you never knew were there and enjoying that big theme of friendship and about who you are and just all sorts of delicious things that I think sound right up my street, and I'm really excited about that. Also, I know nothing about like Iranian culture, so I think that would be a really interesting thing for me to just learn about. And there's another book I have that has a similar vein to this. I remember Starfish by Kimmy Dawn Bowman. I would grab it, but it's in a different room in the house and I'm too lazy to go get it. But I remember that one was about her figuring out her more Japanese roots. I'm pretty sure it's Japanese, but don't crucify me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure. But she was learning about this kind of culture of herself that she never really was involved in before. And I've seen other books use that cultural learning aspect, and I always love that when it's in a book. I find it so interesting and it's fun and it's nice to learn, especially if it was your ancestors and your roots. It's such an interesting dynamic to be learning these things for yourself and building upon your identity. So Darius the Great Is Not Okay is already out, but Darius the Great Deserves Better, god that's all hard to say in one line, Darius the Great Deserves Better, that one comes out on August 25th. The next one that comes out, again, I kind of heard about from other people talking about it. It seems like a few people have got their eye on this one, and I can see why. It's definitely an intriguing idea. And that is Star Daughter by, and forgive me for trying to say this name, Shveta Thakar? I'm gonna go with that. I will write it here just so you know. So this one is based on Hindu mythology, which really intrigues me, and is about, literally the title, she is the daughter of a star. Her mother is a star and her dad is a human mortal, and it seems like he gets ill and she needs to call upon the aid of like a full star to help her. I mean, how did mum and dad get freaky and make a daughter? Who knows? I want to know. Probably won't go into that, but either way, I'm intrigued. And I would think about the conception of that baby. Does anyone else think about that? Come on, it can't just be me that's thinking about the... No? Okay. So it says the quest to save her father takes her up to the celestial court. So I think she literally like goes up into the sky and she has to deal with the celestial gods and nobles up in the sky. It seems totally magical and fantastical, where it says she must take the stage as her family's champion in a competition to decide the next ruling house of the Celestials and the sky. And then she has to win or risk never returning to Earth again to save her father and go back home. There's a lot there. It sounds super fantastical and magical. I've never read a book like that where the character is literally like a celestial being. I've kind of read about gods, but is that the same thing? I don't know. It sounds really interesting to me, and I know a few other people have picked up on this one. Again, the cover is gorgeous. There's a lot of beautiful covers in these new releases, and this one comes out on the 3rd of September. Now the next one, I've already reviewed the trailer on this channel, so you might have seen me talk about this book before, and that is The Saviour's Sister by Jenna Moreci. As you may know, I'm kind of a bit of a big fangirl of Jenna Moreci. I absolutely love her, and her first book, The Saviour's Champion, is just... I've been waiting since 2018 for the next in the series, and it comes out this September. The Saviour's Sister, and I am so excited for it. You don't even know. In case you don't know, The Saviour's Champion is about a boy called Tobias, and there is this saviour of the realm, this holy queen who blesses the land to be fruitful and to avoid plague and all of that beautiful like Romanesque fantasy-ness. And there's this big competition where the best men of the land come to fight in a competition to the death to win the saviour's hand in marriage and become the next sovereign, and it's this gruesome glory battle, and Tobias doesn't really care about the saviour, but he gets mixed up in this competition basically to save his sister, and he doesn't like the saviour, but he does like the saviour's sister, and it's this whole glorious, sexy, gripping, brutal, horrendously full of swear words. It's glorious. It's a beautiful, brilliant, nasty novel. The second in the series is coming out. It ended on a big cliffhanger twist. I won't tell you what that is, but the companion slash second in the series, the one that is coming out in September, this one follows Layla, and she's love interest, all the saviourness. It's all about the politics of what was happening in the court while Tobias was doing the competition, and what was really going on behind the scenes, and all the political intrigue and assassination and plots for murder and all this beautiful horrendous angst, and I can't wait for it. I don't want to say too much to spoil the beautiful lovely twist of the end of The Saviour's Champion, so if you haven't read The Saviour's Champion, go read that book because it's great and you won't regret it in any way, and then you can be excited with me to read The Saviour's Sister in September, and that comes out September 29th. Again, the next one I've been waiting for quite a long time, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab. Does Victoria Schwab even need an introduction? Probably not, but she is a very well-known, well-loved author, and I've just recently jumped on the Victoria Schwab bandwagon. Ever since I finished this Savage Song and Our Dark Duet, I have been dying to get my hands on another Victoria Schwab book, and this new one she's been teasing for so long, and every single quote or description or piece that she reveals of this new release just makes me want this book even more. This woman knows how to promote and tease a book, let me tell you. I love her Instagram, I just love it. I love how real she is. She talks about how hard writing is. She doesn't sugarcoat nothing. She talks about its difficulties and its struggles, and she's real with it, but also super poetic and beautiful. And this woman's written a lot of books, and a lot of beautiful, beloved books, and this new one It's been a long anticipated, and I've been watching her Instagram and excited for this long before I knew its cover or even its name. I think it was just called Addie for a while. That's how long I've been waiting for this book, and now it's soon to be out and I'm so excited. I know there's a lot of Victoria Schwab I haven't read yet in her backlist, but it's fine, I'll get to those. But I also want this new book because it just sounds so good, and I'll explain the synopsis now because I haven't done that yet. So this book is about a girl who lives back in Paris in the, I don't know what century, it's in the past, and she's made like some kind of deal where she gets to live forever, but in exchange everyone she ever meets is destined to forget her. And doesn't that synopsis just sound so intriguing? What is going to happen in this book if everyone forgets who she is, if no one will be able to remember her? Oh, it's going to be this beautiful like internal struggle of her figuring out who she is. If no one remembers her, will she leave a mark on this world? Does her life mean anything? I haven't even read this book yet. I can already imagine the beautiful, moral, intriguing questions that come of it. Maybe there's going to be a character who does remember her and it's going to be like, oh, someone remembers me, and it's going to be this mystery of why this one person remembers her. I don't know what it's going to be. I've tried not to spoil myself any further than that short description because I don't need to know anymore. Honestly, it's Victoria Schwab, a girl who's never remembered by anybody. Both of those things were plenty enough for me to want to read this book. All these hidden little drops and teasers and quotes have been so beautiful, and I'm ready for that book to come out and to love it with my whole heart. And the day that will be possible will be October 6th. And lastly, this book I'm kind of on the fence about, but I'll tell you for why. But that is Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. Yeah, a Marissa Meyer book. She's a very popular author here on BookTube, very well known with the Lunar Chronicles series and the Renegades, neither of which I've read. I know, I'm such a bad booktuber, but we've all got to read different things, guys, and I can't jump on every bandwagon ever. How boring would that be? Maybe I'll get to those one day, maybe I won't. But she's released a contemporary, which is odd for her in itself. But the synopsis really intrigued me, and even though I'm not a contemporary person, the synopsis is really, really intriguing to me. I know, me getting into a contemporary from a non-contemporary author, crazy, but this book is called Instant Karma, and I think it's a romance, but it's definitely a contemporary. It's about this girl who wakes up one day with the ability to cast or cause good or bad karma to anybody she wants. So she sees someone doing something she thinks morally wrong, she can shoot that karma back at them, or if she sees someone doing something great, or who she thinks is a good person, she could give them good karma. And that's such an interesting subject of one person with the power to grant good or bad, you know, one person's judgment, judge, jury and executioner. And I've always loved that power dynamic of one person having this kind of ability is really, really interesting to me. The fact that who will she cast it on? Will she learn that everyone's got opinions and that's okay? There's so many areas this could go, and morally interesting subjects to touch upon and draw from, and I just think this concept sounds really good. I've just read more of the synopsis. It seems like there's one person in the town who's kind of immune to her new charms, and it seems like that's going to be the romance, like a love to hate kind of thing of the one person who's immune to her karma thing. Either way, it sounds really, really interesting. And like I said, I'm kind of on the fence because I've never read Marissa Meyer. It's a contemporary romance, which isn't always my bag. I mean, I'm down with the love to hate thing sometimes, so I don't know, we'll see. I love that whole karma thing, and I really hope she leans into that because I love a romance, but I like something else going on as well. We'll see, but that one sounds super interesting, and that one comes out on November 3rd. And that is all the books I have today. Like I said, there's probably loads more that I didn't find out about or I just forgot to mention. And if you have any that you know of, like books that are coming out in the second half of 2020, tell me below what's your anticipated releases that are coming out soon, because I would love to know, and I'm sure everyone else would too. If you like, I always leave my social medias down in the description, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Goodreads. So if you want to go and check those out, my Instagram is probably where I'm most active, followed by Twitter. Goodreads, I just kind of keep up with all the books I'm reading, so if you want to know what I'm reading at the moment, you can check that. And if you like this video, like the video. It always really, really helps, and why not? You know, why not press that little button? It's just one little button. What reason do you have not to, eh? I really hope you did like the video, and if you've liked more than one of my videos, maybe consider subscribing, because I'd love to have you in the family and to chat with you about books. And I love meeting all the book friends, so definitely come on by and chat with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!